Oh, sorry, they're all coming. Justin, you got the first one.
Hashtag winning.
Hashtag tinkering time. Winning time. Winning time.
You definitely tinkered. We didn't see this lineup in the fall. There's some surprises out there. Yeah. What was the thought process behind that, Coach?
Well, we've had time. I think the time was necessary, and this whole preseason has been way more natural. Like, I know basketball's going on and it was January, but it felt way more like a preseason. We had plenty of time to compete. The competitive chemistry, they've earned it. You know what I mean? We were given that time. It wasn't so up in the air and up and down. So people earned their spots. And I think they gained confidence in knowing that they earned their spots.
One quick follow-up from me. I'll let everybody else hop in. The third set didn't go your way, right? But you were down so big, and then you make that run in there, and then it kind of like, okay, we may not be able to come all the way back now, but we've got the momentum back. How big was that, Coach?
It's huge. Volleyball is a game of momentum, and we knew we had to do something. And actually, I'll take that. We should have done it the play before we made that sub, just because it's the subbing rotation. But I'm proud of our team because of that response. And that was a huge turning point leading into the fourth set, because they could have buried us, but our team didn't allow it, and we earned points and kind of stole some of that momentum. But I'll tell you, I'm more proud of the fourth set response. Like, yes, that third set, but the fourth set to come out and get back on our serving, it was the serving. We had to get them out of system. That's a good team. So for our first match out in the spring, I'm really proud of this, but we have to keep building and be more consistent.
Thank you.
Next up is Travis Brown.
Hey, Coach.
Howdy.
Was it a refreshing surprise to see how little rust it seemed like the team had, especially when you seemingly kind of make subs for about 5 starters from the fall?
Yeah, I think it was awesome, but we were so ready to compete. But yes, as a coach, like the first match of the season, especially with new people and new roles, you always wonder how that response is going to be. And I think once like Claire and Erica being in there, getting the solid time given to settle in, it's going to be huge for them. Even just London coming in and playing the way she played. And we know that she's more offense than anything, but I'm so proud of her, and Camille distributing the way she did. But like I said, we had the time. We've had a solid preseason, and even then these last 2 weeks. So if anything, I think it's rewarding for them to have earned it and now gained this in their pocket as experience. But like I said, we just have to keep building on it.
Yeah. Morgan Christian doing what she did, good back row, good, stats all around. What can you say about what the improvement she's been able to make from the fall?
Yeah, I think even with her, it's going to be consistency, and playing 6 rotations. She made some pretty smart plays, even in the back row, like drop tipping some of those balls, but it's going to be growth, and she has to continue to kind of learn her power, is how I'll put it, because she has a cannon for an arm. So it's learning like when like you're just going to bury a ball, and when, keep yourself in it to get the ball back and then get maybe a better setup.
Mm-hmm. And then finally, I noticed no Morgan Davis or Carly Basham on the sidelines. Is there any status on them?
Yeah, Morgan Davis will be back with us when we get back. She'll be back in next week, and Carly is no longer on our roster.
Okay. Thanks, Coach.
Mm-hmm.
Next, we have Jennifer Streeter.
Hi, Coach. My first question for you, I think you'll like, how good does this one feel? Coming off of those 4 losses, how good does it feel to, come out your season opener with a bang, with a win?
Jennifer, that is a great question. I appreciate it. I think it's always good to start off with a win. But like I keep saying, it's a great foundation and a building block. So we just have to keep learning from things still. But the third set, you never want that as a coach, but it showed a good response in the fourth. So that's also something telling. But the biggest challenge is coming back tomorrow. You know what I mean? Like, we got to come right back at it. It's a good team, and execute just as well, if not better, than we did tonight.
And then, obviously quite a bit of changes to your lineup from the fall to the spring. Clearly it paid off. I also really wanted you to touch on Claire, with it being like her freshman year and, having her first start, especially like so early in her career. So what do you think her potential is throughout her career here at A&M?
Well, we saw it right when she got here in the fall. She terminates. She has a great arm, and she's a middle, and we kind of moved to the right side, so she was in between. And it's just the buy-in. For any player, it's the buy-in and that belief and trusting the process and the training. And like I said, we had more productive time, is what I'll say. We had time in the fall, but it was so up in the air, and we didn't have a schedule. There was just a lot of unknowns, and we went with what we saw consistency was, and now they've earned these spots. Like I said, we have a lot of depth, so they're earning their spots, and now that experience is paying off for them.
All right. Thanks, Coach. Congrats, and see you tomorrow.
Thanks.
We've got one more from Richard Zane.
You mentioned earlier, Coach, that London had a nice game. Oh, stop. What in her training over these last few months has allowed her to hit the ground running?
London's been consistent. I mean, even her freshman year, she played a lot for us, and she knows her offense is her bread and butter. That's her go-to. But she's just that solid of a player, and she has a coach's brain. She sees things and she knows things. She is like our logic. That's what we call her. London's our logic. So her going in, like, I think everyone trusts her. She knows the game plan. She knows what she's doing. So once she finds her groove, that was huge for her tonight.
When you say she has a coach's brain, how cerebral of a player is she compared to others you've been around throughout your career?
I mean, there's always those kids that are, and typically it's the middles. You kind of get that. They're either analytical or they just process things differently. But, I mean, you have a plethora of players that just have different minds, but she's always been that since her freshman year. But we literally call her London Logical. Logical London. That's who she is.
Thanks, Coach.
Mm-hmm.